Hello, and welcome to another edition of On Track with Ray. Today I want to talk about the new surprise locomotive from Märklin. These surprise locomotives started about 4 years ago when Märklin surprised the market with the French 241. And every year since the French 241, they brought out a unique, international, iconic surprise locomotive. Basically, it started with the French 241, then they made the Belgium Pacific, then they made the Danish locomotive, and just a few weeks ago, they went over to the Czech Republic and they decided, you know what? We need to make a surprise locomotive of the beautiful Czech Class 498. Also known as the Albatross. This is an absolutely beautiful model. Just like the other ones, the model is all metal. It's extremely heavy. It has a tremendous amount of detail. What I love about this locomotive is I love the blue livery with the white roof and the stripes. The Albatross was a really unique locomotive. It was built in the Czech Republic, or Czechoslovakia actually, in 1954 through 1955. It was a very powerful locomotive. This locomotive was able to pull a 600 metric ton train at about 120 kilometers. So a lot of weight, good speed. The main drivers were really big. They were 1.83 meters tall. And there's a lot of unique characteristics of the Albatross. One thing you'll notice when you look at this locomotive is the height of the boiler that sits off the frame. There's a tremendous amount of daylight under the boiler, which is really, really cool. I have a nice video that Märklin made to showcase this locomotive. They talk more about the prototype, and they talk about the model, and they show the model running on a really nice layout. So let's go over to see what Märklin has to say about this incredible model, and we'll go from there.
It has become a fine tradition for Märklin to present a surprise locomotive with a special flair every year. What brings you to Pilsen, Marco? Klaus, it's the end of September. As you know, it's getting fall-like. The evenings are getting cooler, and so it's time for our surprise locomotive. Speaking of which, can we see it here somewhere? No, I don't see it yet. Wasn't it the 310? No, but that would have been nice too. Let's have a look at that one. That could be it. Oh, really? A beautiful, enormous engine. The surprise locomotives are always very iconic. We like to take a look at what was operating in Europe beyond the German border. And I think this year we picked out something very special. Who came up with the idea of recreating exactly this one? Did it take long? It did indeed. We typically have a lot of ideas, and this locomotive has been there for a long time, because we have been considering it for a while. This year we decided it was time to implement the idea because it's so beautiful. Wonderful. Let's take a closer look at the engine. What stands out is this, one can almost say, huge cutout. Otherwise, the boiler and undercarriage are close together. Here we have a super view. This is just fascinating. It's really rare that a steam engine's boiler sits so high up. This engine is considered one of the highlights of European steam locomotive construction. Therefore, it was probably the right decision to design the locomotive this way. Let's take a look at the wheels. A steam engine is often defined by its wheels, delicate and fine. How big do you think they are? I looked it up, of course. The four large driving wheels measure 1.83 meters in diameter. And I can remember that so well, because I am 1.83 meters tall myself. It's a perfect fit for me, isn't it? And when you stand directly under the locomotive, the sight of the four large driving wheels is particularly fascinating. That's just great. You can also feel that it's under pressure and that something is emanating from it. Yes, you can feel the heat and you can also smell it. You can smell steam engines even when they're standing still. Simply fascinating. Before we look at the model, let's think about what we are going to do afterwards. What do you do in Pilsen? Yes, well, in Pilsen, I'd say it's pretty obvious. We should treat ourselves to one. At least one, for sure. I'm with you. Before we get to that, let's first learn a little more about this engine.
Diese Lokomotive ist die schnellste, schwerste und meiner Meinung nach auch schönste Lokomotive.
This locomotive is the fastest, heaviest and, in my opinion, the most beautiful engine made in Czechoslovakia.
Größte Geschwindigkeit, das war unser Rekord, das war 162 Kilometer pro Stunde.
It reached a top speed, which was our record, of 162 kilometers per hour. That was in 1964 at the testing facility in Velim. The technical maximum speed was 120 kilometers per hour.
Die Lokomotive wiegt 113 Tonnen.
The locomotive weighed 113 tons, the tender 81 tons. So together, they weighed 194 tons, which was a record in Czechoslovakia.
Das ist auch Rekord in Tschechoslowakei.
The approach of the express steam engine is a visual and acoustic treat. Did we promise too much? Seeing such a unique engine in action is undoubtedly a wonderful spectacle. Model railroaders can enjoy it too. That's because an half-O counterpart has appeared from Märklin and Trix as a completely new design and has reproduced the 498-104 in its current operating condition. A smoke set with speed-dependent dynamic smoke emission is installed as standard. Numerous other functions are digitally switchable. The open view between the undercarriage and the boiler is wonderful. The distance between locomotive and tender can be changed by means of an adjustable close coupling. Here the engine runs in the tightest possible condition. Buffer height on locomotive and tender are designed according to NEM. The Märklin model has an MFX Plus decoder. A controlled high-performance drive with flywheel mass sits in the boiler of the model, made mostly of metal. The engineer's cap is highly detailed and has digitally switchable lighting. The three-cylinder locomotive is powered by a stoker mechanism. Nevertheless, the stoker is in demand. It is no coincidence that the Albatross, as the engine is affectionately called, is in excellent condition, as it is in the care of the club by the same name.
Takže je to naša parná mašina Albatros.
The Albatross Club, based in Bratislava, has been taking care of the engine for many years. Incidentally, it was built by Škoda in Pilsen in 1954 and started running at Christmas time. After it was taken out of service, there was a lot to do. As part of a general inspection, the engine was completely disassembled and restored. This extensive work took over 3.5 years and was carried out by members of the Albatross Club in their spare time. In the process, the locomotive was given its characteristic color scheme and steel construction with a white cap roof. In this way, it can also be presented to future generations. After all, it is an important cultural asset for the railroad history of Czechoslovakia.
Kultúrna pamiatka, ktorá bude stále večná, stále funkčná.
The active Albatross Club members are very impressed with the 1:87 scale replica. They have discovered many details that they also know from their large engine. And we are going to do something else. Let's take it for a spin. Great idea. Let's do it. Door is open. Great. The locomotive was built in Pilsen. Now it's back home. There's no better location for it than right here. Cheers!
Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode on the beautiful Albatross locomotive. They are in stock. They sell for $699.95. And the Märklin product number is 39498. And the Trix version in DC is 25498. Get your orders in soon. We could still ship them before Christmas. And it is a fantastic model, like I said, and we are very happy to answer any questions, or if you need any more information on this beautiful locomotive, just feel free to contact us. Thank you very much, and have a great day.